Can a CFO help you get hired? The answer is yes, and this may come as a shock. And you're probably not reaching out to any CFOs. That changes today, and I'm going to change the way you think about it. Okay. The assumption hiring is a HR decision. It is not. Hiring is a financial decision. CFOs control the finances of the company. CFOs will see if you're a financial fit. If you are financially viable to be hired by the company, it's a financial decision, and therefore you will get the job. Now, CFOs think of risk, cost, return, and longevity. If you are a risky hire, you will not get hired. If you cost too much, you won't get hired. If the return is bad, you won't get hired. If there's no longevity, you won't get hired. The CFOs control that. CFOs tell the head of HR and the hiring manager how to think about it. I'm going to break this down right now. So, risk. If you have a lot of experience, but you're not going to be a good fit to the team, you are risky and you're not going to get hired. If the cost is too high, so if you're asking for too much of a salary, you won't get hired. You probably know this. Equally, what you don't know is if you ask for less than the market value of the salary, the risk goes up because then they think you're probably not confident to do the job. The cost doesn't matter because the cost will actually be negative because the risk is high because you're not confident to ask for market value. Is the return going to be positive on that? Probably not. What happens if you seem like you're not going to work with the company culture and therefore they think you might leave after 3 months? Well, the longevity is going to be low, which means the return will be low, the cost will be high because the risk is high, and they're going to have to replace you in 3 to 6 months. So then they lose out on projects. So the CFO then deems that you are not a worthy financial decision. So these things are going to be tied into how I explain this. Who CFOs speak to daily? If the CFO likes you, they speak to the global head of HR, they speak to HR business partners, leadership teams, department heads. These are people that influence hiring decisions. If the CFO knows you exist and likes you and feels that you are the right financial decision, they can tell these people about you. These people can then refer you. The CFO can refer you. You will then speak to hiring managers. CFO to HR to hiring manager. This is how it could go. You could speak to the CFO. They can then refer you to the HR person. HR person can refer you to the hiring manager. You will then get a meeting. You will then get an interview. You'll then get an offer. This happens every single day. You most likely, and tell me in the comments if I'm wrong, you are not speaking to CFOs because you don't know how to speak to them. You're probably scared about what they're going to say. You feel that they're busy. I can assure you they are not. They are looking for people like you if you're going to be the right fit. Hard skills does not equal long-term value. This is what's stopping you getting the role, the dream job, the job you want to do because you assume, hey, I don't have the right experience. Or you might have experience, but just not enough because you've seen a job that's asking for way too much. And then you think, well, there's no long-term value because I just don't have the hard skills. That's not the case. Hard skills do not equal long-term value. Now, how CFOs really judge people, they look at transferable value. Okay. Transferable value could not just be hard skills. It could be a whole host of different things. Now, let's assume, here's a couple of examples, customer service. If you have customer service skills, you can get into stakeholder management. If you have operation skills, process efficiency. If you're an analyst, you can get into decision support. Okay. If you have different things, you can speak to HR and CFOs about how transferable that value is. If you've spoken to people, if you've handled projects, if you work in a high detail environment, high pressure environment, if you're employee centric, customer centric, and whatever skill or experience you have, that's a transferable value that you can speak to CFOs with. Now, the question CFOs respect: what makes a hire economically worth it? Imagine having the opportunity to speak to a CFO and actually ask this question. They will respect you. Now, if you have experience, your angle should be, here's how I reduce cost, risk, or inefficiency. This is what CFOs love. If you don't have experience, your angle is, how would you assess potential versus risk in a hire? Imagine that question. So, hey, I don't have the experience, but how do you assess risk versus potential? I feel that I have potential. How do you assess that risk? This removes the pressure. So you're not asking CFOs, hey, I'm worth a lot of money. Trust me, hire me, bro. That's not your pitch. Your pitch is, how do you assess potential versus risk? Now, you're connecting to these people on LinkedIn. If you follow any of my content, I talk a lot about LinkedIn. I talk a lot about ad notes. You want to connect with these people. You want to get them as a connection. You want to follow up with them. You want to ask intelligent questions. No, hey, any jobs questions. That's not going to work. That doesn't cut it. These do. Now, liking matters. Yes, really. People invest in people they trust, they like. People don't buy from people that they don't like. People don't invest into people they don't like. People don't refer people that they don't like. People like people who they like, but they refer people who they like. So if a CFO likes you, you have a chance, you have a real shot. Visibility beats volume. If you're visible, you can spend 20 hours on one resume, perfecting it, sending it to the HR person, get ignored, and you think, oh, okay, I'm going to do this 500 times and hope for the best. That's volume. Visibility, when a CFO knows you and they like you and they can forward you onto someone and refer you and say, this is the person, that will beat that volume. Now, who this works best for? Career switchers, international candidates, experienced but invisible people. Look, I want you to take this video as a sign. Please, for the love of God, start networking. Start dealing with people who have decision-making ability. A CFO knows everybody in a company. They are the people who have meetings with hiring teams and senior hiring people. These are the amount of people we need to hire this month. These are the amount of people we need to fire this month. This is the reason why. This is what we're looking for. This is the main skill. It's not about hard skills. It's about company culture fit. It's about soft skills. It's about having the perfect personality trait for our business. If you know these people and they know you and they like you, they can invite you, they can refer you, they could recommend you. You will then become the candidate that gets the job over all the other people that are applying. If you found this video helpful, like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.